Welcome to Slice of Anecdote, where we capture the heartbeat of life one experience at a time. I am your host. My name is Harry. Today's guest, we have back Nicklas Mork. Did I get it? Can I get it again?
I was trying so hard not to laugh.
God. One day I'm gonna
Uh,
get this right.
Probably not.
I feel like I'm close.
That's good for you.
Okay, wow. Okay, I'm just gonna delete that part. Today's guest, welcome back, Nicklas. Welcome back to the pod. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. I'm feeling great. I just had a awesome laugh when you're like because of you. How about you?
Good start. Pretty good, pretty good. Finally have a little bit of positive news in my career.
Yeah.
Hopefully my interview is gonna go well and we'll see what happens.
Well, it better go well. I'm not ready
Well,
for you to leave like this area of like the world. Please don't go back.
no?
You're the only one I have close by.
You're so far, yet so close.
Yeah, it really is. We see each other like maybe once a year,
Maybe
and
once a
it's
year.
literally like what, a 1.5 hour flight or something?
I mean, mama's gotta have income, so I gotta
It's
have
not even
income.
expensive because Ryanair, like it's shit tickets, but it's cheap. I shouldn't say that as someone who studied to like preserve the world and like care about climate change. Be like, oh, it's cheap flights. Great job.
Jeez, you're not practicing what you're preaching.
Apparently not when I want to like have visits.
No.
No.
I mean, I know that I'm gonna start to try and do a little bit more of traveling before I go. We'll see how life goes in
Yeah.
May, and hopefully I can figure out a little bit of time that I can come to Denmark and see you. Not in the winter time. That's
It'd be
next.
lovely. Like it's always raining here anyways, but I guess it's the same in London, so not much of it like a change.
True, true. But I still haven't gone to Copenhagen because you don't live there. So I'm kind of,
You
kind
can
of,
just go.
fine. I'll make it work. I'll make it work. I want, I
I
want,
don't care.
I would like you to come with. You know what I mean?
Uh,
I mean, you don't have to. I quite enjoy solo
like can't
traveling.
we at least go somewhere where I also haven't been, so at least fun for me
Okay, where do you want
instead
to
of
go?
somewhere where I'm just stressed? I don't know. I have to have like vacation time first of all.
Yeah,
So
you
we'll
need to
see.
be employed first, same as me.
Well, yeah. Maybe we'll see. I am working on like getting something up and running on my like by myself right now.
Mm.
And I am progressing quite well, so let's hope that brings in at least some money.
Fabulous. In our previous episode, we kind of explored your health experience, and it was a huge part of how our friendship got started. And
Yeah.
I think you've had quite a ride in your life,
Yeah.
and especially at like such a young age. So I just want to explore health a little bit in your context. Like how like what was your health been like growing up?
Oh, that's a hard question. Um, like physical health
Sure. We can go
or mental health
we can do
or
both, but
both.
we can do both.
Okay. Well, I guess physical, it's been always kind of wonky.
Mm.
I've always had tendency to like, you know what is called like pull my joint out or my shoulder out of like its socket.
Your shoulders?
Yeah, yeah, quite a lot as a child. It was
Why?
like just moving my arms, like literally just like raising my arms up, they would dislocate.
What?
Um, yeah, I remember one time I was visiting my sister, um, in her apartment, and I was taking a shower, and I was just, like, trying to lift my arm to wash my hair, and my shoulder dislocated, and I couldn't, like, keep my arm up anymore, and we had to find a doctor close by, which wasn't my doctor, but they took me in and, like, got it set back in place for me. So, yeah, it's, like, happened quite frequently, and also, like, spraining my ankles and stuff. And then there's always been something with my appetite, but I think that's more connected to mental health than it is physical health. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, in general, it's just been a lot of tiny, like, injuries all the time. And like, I know that's normal for a kid, but mine was like dislocating or spraining ankles or breaking bones. Like, I broke the same bone in my hand 4 times in a row, literally getting the cast off on Mondays and getting it back on Fridays, um, like 4 times in a
Are
row.
you made of glass?
No, but they did think I had child's arthritis back then, which never got like looked into. And now I'm here and just got diagnosed with like rheumatoid arthritis. So who's to say it hasn't been that the whole time, right?
Ugh, that's so scary, and
Yeah.
that is so annoying. What about, like, your mental health? Like, how has your mental health been at play since you were a kid?
Yeah. So as you know, I've grown up in quite a lot of trauma. There was quite a lot of violence, um, mental violence, I guess, also.
What do you mean by
Or,
mental violence?
well, I don't know exactly what the English word is, but it's like, it can be physical, where someone is like punching you, or it can be um, making you experience things that like are mental, but still kind of brings you pain, and doing consciously to like either scare you or to control you.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess you probably have a word for it, but I just don't know it. Um, but yeah, so that's been a lot of that since I was like tiny, like tiny, tiny, and I never had like parents that was fully there, in the way that parents should be. So like growing up was definitely chaotic, and then as I got older, there was a lot of deaths in my family that also took quite hard, on me, especially my mom and uh, my grandma on my dad's side. Um, my mom when I was 16 and my grandma when I was around 18, um, which like just pulls you out of everything seeing that happen.
Okay, trigger
But
warning, we're gonna talk a little bit about death,
yeah,
a little bit here, and I just wanna dive into that a little bit more. I personally haven't dealt with an experience that is a death of a family member that would have affected me in a very, very negative way. The only death
yeah,
experience that I have experienced is at a very, very young age. I would say somewhere between, I don't know, like 4, 5 years old, and it was my dad's dad, so it's my grandpa. I don't really remember him whatsoever. I just remember the funeral part of it.
yeah.
And I was in the village back in China, and they were having a funeral, people were crying, and I remember this particular image of this. I guess that person was my grandpa at the time. I don't know what he was in. I don't know if he was in a casket or if he was on a floor, but for some reason, he there was scissors, like,
Yeah.
on I don't know if it was, like, just placed on his mouth or something like that. I don't remember, but I just remember there was, like, a pair of scissors placed on his mouth, and then there was, like, candles and people,
So it's also
paper. It was like it was like a funeral ceremony, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have no idea what any of the significance is, and I didn't stay for very long because my aunt came and picked me up,
Yeah.
and we went somewhere, and that was, like, the end of it. And then, I guess in the past, maybe under 10 years or so, my grandparents and my mom's side is having not such great health issues. They're still alive right now as we speak, but for some reason, I've had a lot of, how do I say this? Pre-grieving,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense, because they were having
Oh,
a lot of, health issues, and some doctors would say, like, "Oh, like, he might only have, like, 2 years," but here we are, like, 8 years, 10 years later,
yeah.
um, which is great, right? Like, I'm more close to my mom's side's grandparents than my dad's side's grandparents, but just the thought of them leaving this world has been giving me a lot of, like, pre-grieving for the past
Yeah.
couple of years, and I'm not sure if that's something that people can relate to, and that also got me thinking to think of how much time I have left with my mom and
Yeah.
how many summers I've got, and it puts life into perspective a little bit, and
Yeah.
I feel that day, especially when it's my mother who goes, I think that is probably gonna be one of the hardest moments I will ever experience. And for someone like you to have experienced a close family member, such as your mom passing away, can you take me back to the few days before that day happened? Like, what was life like?
Oh, yeah, I guess, life was just chaotic as it always was in my family.
Mm,
Um, Today, me and my siblings are thinking that my mom was probably, what's called borderline. And so everything was very black and gray. So you never knew if it was like you got yelled at or if you were getting like left on or like whatever it was. It was just always switching. So you never knew.
mm,
And I was living with my mom and my stepdad at that time, together with our two dogs. No, I guess we only had one dog left at that point. Anyways, I was going to school, and I remember like we were like about to go camping and stuff, so we went to this place where you go with like a camping wagon, which I don't know if something you really do in Canada, but
camp
it's something that's very popular here in Europe in general.
camping?
Yeah, like a camping wagon. So like
Like a camping ground?
yeah, no, like you have this kind of trailer you put back on your car that is
Oh,
like a tiny house, yeah.
yeah, 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 we
And then
have
you
that.
go to a campground, but it's like paid and because you put your camping there and
Okay,
like
yeah,
get
yeah.
power and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so we were about to go for that. And then on the day it happens, if it's okay if I jump through there because it's a little bit chaotic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in general. And then memories, of course, strongest of that day.
How old were
But I
you?
remember I was 16 at the moment,
Okay.
and in 10th grade. And then, like, what I really remember first off that day was so me and my mom was like in a fight from the day before
Mhm,
because I drove with my sister, like the one that's 9 years older than me, to school,
mhm,
um, which was quite like not far away, but far away enough that you kind of needed a car. And so I was also driving home with her, and we had gotten home a bit late the day before, and she was very upset about that because it didn't fit into her plans. And like it was literally she was just like driving by to like get some money out of an ATM, so we were like talking maybe 5 to 10 minutes later than usual. So it's like nothing that should matter in the perspective of everything, right?
right.
But that morning, so we were still like in an argument about it and quite angry at each other. We didn't like let things go.
Mhm,
So last thing I remember is like being arguing with my mom and like going out the door. And I think I even slammed the door in anger and then going to school. And then comes around the time where you're about to go home and we're like driving home. We're a little bit late. I try to call her, but she doesn't pick up. But now I'm like, I should probably call her because she got so mad yesterday, right? And then we come home, and then this lady that owns the campground we were at was holding in our driveway, which was quite weird. My mom had what's called like passed out at the campground. Actually, she was in the owner's house talking about like signing me up for a course in some riding because I had a horse at the time and was very focused on that sport. And then passed out, and they thought it was a heart attack. Um, so they had done resuscitation, as that was the word, like heart
Resuscitation?
massage and stuff. Yeah, and she got picked up by the ambulance and stuff. Got driven to the hospital. So she was in the driveway because they didn't know um, when I was going to arrive home, first of all, and if I was just going to be alone and wondering where is my mom or my stepdad or anyone, right? Um, but me and my sister then, of course, quickly drive to the hospital, and we get there, and they can still not get in contact with my mom, and she's like still going through a lot of excess or a lot of what is called um, checks,
Okay, like
research. What is it called?
tests?
Yeah, a lot of tests. And they had done like an MR and a CT and stuff of her brain. Um, and we don't get that much information in this start. But she get moved to like an intensive care unit where they tell us they believe that she's brain dead. She had an aneurysm, which means like a blood vessel exploded in her head. And they think it was one of the major ones, but that it had pulled enough blood around the brain to suffocate it, first of all. And second of all, it has pushed her brain into her brain stem. Um, yeah. So there we are at the hospital, the family together. A very rare sight. So it was very weird already in that matter. And then they started out with like having to take all the kind of decisions of like, should she donate her organs, and like when are we calling it, and like what is the processes of these things and stuff. And there's some tests they have to run, and we are waiting for like the specialty doctors to come in to like do these tests and hoping that they can, and we don't know why. um, because everything else was not gone anymore, everything else was dead. um, so at this point I still see my mom as living, right? Because
Right.
she's still breathing in this machine, she's still warm. um, I still have hope. And then we got told like, no, they're very very sure that she's brain dead after doing the pain tests and stuff, which are incredible and uncomfortable to see. I never wish upon anyone to see those tests be done
You were
because
you were there in person for them to do the test.
yeah. I was in there together with my sister while they did it, my older sister, because we were not leaving her side, right? Like we refused to leave her.
That's
um
wow. I can't imagine what that wow, okay.
yeah, it's like we wanted to be there because in case he woke up, but also like we also want to be there in case she didn't wake up, right? Because
Mhm.
then we wanted as much time with her as possible, and we also wanted to know what are they doing to our mother, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely say today I wish I hadn't seen it, or at least parts of it. It's very haunting, so can't recommend it if you're ever in that position. Don't be there when they do it. Like, give yourself the time to like step out of the room and just believe they're doing their job, and that's good enough. Because yeah, that's not fun. And then we had to make the decision if she was going to be an organ donor or not.
How
Um,
how many
n-
days or like, how much time did this take?
so so from I leave in the morning to the pain test being conducted, we're just um, about midnight.
Okay,
Um, and then the time of death declared, which is when they say she is guaranteed brain dead, is just past midnight. So for us, we have like 2 death days because there's the day she passed out, and then there's the official day where the time was called, which is literally like 2 or 3 minutes past midnight, I think.
okay.
Um, yeah, but it was like a very long day, the longest I ever been in.
And they were asking if whether your mom's body could be a organ donor, like, how long
Yeah,
did that take?
so they ask you when they are pretty sure that she's brain dead, or someone is brain dead. Then they ask you because to be an organ donor, you have to be declared brain dead. So it's not something you can just become if you just go around and like die normally, because you still have to have the body functioning for them to be able to take the organs, right?
I see.
Um,
And this is in
and since you
Denmark?
was yeah, so she's still in a respirator, and they believe that she is dead, but still need to like do the last checks, right?
Mhm.
Like the pain test, which is the last thing they do. Um, but already then they had asked us to like at least think about it and discuss it. Um, because as far as the rules still stand, then even if they have like, we can have like a plastic card or you could back in the day that said that you wanted to be an organ donor and which parts they could take. Um, or even if they had registered it on a website where you could also register it, it was always the her closest family or closest people that I don't remember. What is the English word for it?
So they s the person to make decisions?
Service,
Next of
which I don't think
kin?
is the next of kin, I guess. Yeah, I think next of kin is probably the most correct term in comparison to the Danish word that I'm thinking of.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, so we had to make the decision, like we have to make the final call.
right.
And so we were discussing back and forth, and I remembered from like losing my grandpa and losing my uncle, which had died previously, some years before, that my mom had said that she wanted to be an organ donor in case there was anything that could help. She just didn't want them to take her eyes, because she had seen too much bad stuff. So we end up deciding that she's an organ donor. And then comes the even more terrible part, because when they are an organ donor, at least here, you're not there when they turn off the respirator. They take the people away before because they need to operate on them, right?
Mhm.
So then it goes from like midnight time or 1 o'clock or whatever it was at that point, till that we get told that we should probably go home, everyone, and try and see if we can at least get some rest and then come back, um, in the morning, um, where she will be like dead. She will be cold, and we can come in and see her for like a final time, at least at the hospital setting, right? Because we don't do open casket funerals here in Denmark. That's not a thing. But we do have like when they die in the hospital, we do have an option to go to the morgue after where they get transported to. So we did go see her after that time too. But yeah, so it was quite a shock to go from seeing my mom alive, even if alive by machines, to see her be like dead and almost ice cold at that point. She wasn't like completely cold, but you could feel like that warmth was leaving her, right?
Wow.
Um, yeah, and like knowing that she just had underwent major surgery where they took her heart and stuff, like that's still like weird to me today that her heart didn't die with her. And it's not that I don't want whoever the person is who got it to have that life,
Mhm.
because that's certainly a blessing to whoever got it. But it's weird to me because I kind of wish like my mom was intact in that sense when she died, so I knew her heart was there. But that's only because we put meaning into the heart, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so that was the days of her death.
That's so like, how does a 16-year-old process all this, like, at the time?
You don't.
It's so rough, especially when it's a direct family member and you
Yeah,
have decided that they're gonna be organ donors, and I don't know about your culture, but, like, in Chinese, at least in my family, I think my mom has resisted to be a organ donor, um, because it's like we want to be a whole when
yeah,
we pass away and stuff, but obviously I have potentially different beliefs,
yeah.
but yeah, like, how did you cope with all of this?
In the start, you don't. Like it's complete denial.
Mhm.
Um, I kept thinking that my mom was pranking me,
Right.
um, which is a horrible prank to put on anyone.
It's a
But
terrible
that was what I
prank.
was. um, because, like, to be fair, my mom was kind of insane enough that she would stage like a colossal prank just to teach me a lesson in that way.
Fun.
I know she wouldn't get the hospital in on it, but like if she could, she would.
Right.
Um, yeah, but like you don't. Like I remember just like laying on the couch where my mom usually were, and like hugging her pillow and blankets, and like I didn't eat for like many days while still like I tried to help my sister, like my oldest sister, which I have a very close relationship to,
Mhm.
make all the decisions because my stepdad was not worth anything.
What?
Like worth anything. Like he didn't help at all.
Oh, okay.
So it was my like older sister who called all the shots, where my other sister was also just kind of like not processing, not existing in it. So there was me and like my oldest sister and my grandma trying to make some decisions in terms of funerals and like what are we gonna do from here and stuff, right? Like what would she want? And at the same time, I refused to believe it, and my sister refused to believe it. Like we all just kind of denied it. I kind of remember she was like working with some sourdough. My mom, she was a great cook and baker. So she was like working with some sourdough and was like making a Danish pastry called himbesnita, um, like on the day. And I just remember like I went around, took care of this stupid sourdough to make sure that it wouldn't die because she would need it. And like I hate himbesnita.
Okay.
I really don't like it, but I refuse to let anyone touch them or throw them out or like do anything to it because it was my mom's. Like, um, so it's very much like you just go into complete denial, and I think you do that almost no matter what type of death like a person is gonna experience that are close to you, but especially one that's so shocking because of the age, especially I think because my mom was 49 at the time.
Kind of came
um
unexpected.
yeah, it came very unexpected. Like I'm on her behalf, I'm very happy that it went so quick, right? Like she didn't feel anything, she
Okay.
was just there and then she wasn't. And that's how I hope for everyone to go out, like sit down in a chair or something, just be gone, like let it be. It's way better than to see people lose themselves or disappear due to illness, which I watched twice, and
Mhm.
that is horrible in its own way.
Oh my god.
Um, but like, yeah, so it was just like you don't process it, you don't accept it. I remember I went to school like after I think she died on a Friday, and I went to school on the Monday because I was like, I need to be somewhere where it's like not just like an empty house.
Right.
Um, and my mom was the closest person I've ever had in my whole life because my sisters are like 12 and 9 years older than me, and both moved out while I was very, very little. I just have like a tiny memory of living with my sister that's 9 years older than me.
Mhm.
There's a lot of reasons to why they moved out, but that kind of left me with my mom. So I kind of grew up as a lone child.
Right.
Um, and like with all the cares, and even though my mom was so unstable, she was all that I had. Like she was the most stable thing I have ever had in my life.
Mhm.
So it literally felt like everything in my chest was pulled out of me. Like if you kind of
Yeah.
can like imagine like being built off of building blocks, she was like just this giant one that was in the middle, and then everything else just kind of like vanished when she wasn't there, right?
Mhm.
The weirdest part, which is kind of freaky, was the same day that she died in school, I was learning about like going through grief when people die. Like that was the topic in my Danish class. And my best friend at the time, or like one of my best friends, was literally sitting on her chair and just like singing songs from like horror movies, like la 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 la, all day. Like that was all she did all day. And then you go home and like experience this, and you're like, well, fuck shit. Like I know what I'm going through, but I don't know what I'm going through because I haven't experienced it in this way.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
So I know that you weren't able to cope, as you mentioned, but
yeah.
here you are now. If you were to kind of like speed through the timeline, how did you move past or move through this actually?
I'm not sure I even truly can say that I have now. It's not something that's on my mind the same way now.
Right.
But I think to like explain how I moved through it, I guess I have to like explain the times after very quickly. So the idea was that I was supposed to stay with my stepdad, which I never had a great relationship to. So I don't know why that was the great idea that everyone had. But yeah, so that was the plan. But we moved into our camping wagon at the camping ground because my stepdad couldn't be in the house because it was too empty or whatever. Um, and so I lived there with him, not eating, barely. Like if I got anything, it was like barely a toast. And then he started drinking again. He had like an alcohol problem, and then he started drinking, and I had to go get him in the middle of the night at bars and stuff. Where he also took our dog that just sat outside, which I really couldn't have. So also went there to get my dog home um, at this really sketchy bar. So that ends up with me moving home to my oldest sister quite suddenly, and them trying to like make a room. And it's just supposed to be a couple of days until he was like okay again or whatever, but that never happened. And then we got into like a fight with, or a fight or fight. Like then my dad thought that I should live with him, but my then I don't have that great of a relationship to him. That was not an option either. So it ends with my sister fighting for like the rights over me to like decide for me and stuff, and I could stay there, and she gets them. So then I have until I'm 18. I live there with my sister and her family, where then I move for myself to finish some studying, like our gymnasium before we start university. And by the time I'm 19, I kind of realized like I'm not okay at all. Like I am barely surviving the everyday life. So I take a talk with my sister, and she helps me start up at some therapy
Mhm.
where I uh, very much didn't want to go. Also denied talking like to my therapist and tried to test her if she was good enough. Like I laughed with my therapist today about it, and I've been with her for almost 10 years, so we have a great relationship. But yeah, she was like, yeah, you were like probably the toughest client I've ever had. um, so
Mhm.
so that was great. But yeah, so I guess it's from there I slowly started to work through all of the trauma collected, because it's not just one thing, right, for
Yeah.
me. Um, and like I also ended up go to the psychiatrist and like get diagnosed with complex PTSD and some like follow up illness, like illnesses that follow with like anxiety disorder and social anxiety and dissociation personality disorder, I think it's called. So these are things that often follow along with PTSD.
Right.
So there was a lot there to work through. And then I think finally, when I went to Canada, I got some space
Mhm.
to like detach from things in a way I haven't done before. And that's why, as you know, that I often talk about like it was the first time I really felt happy.
Yeah.
Um, it was the first time where I could go out and do things. And even though that I talked with my family back at home and missed my grandma and stuff like that, I could just let it be, like all the cares. I'm like, I can't do anything anyways. I'm a 16.5 hour flight away. What do you want me to do? And the time zone is like 9 hours difference. Like I can call you in the morning or in the night. That's it,
Yeah.
you know? So it was great in that sense. And then I was able to like get great friends like you, like Matthew, like some of the other international students, and just really try and explore life as life,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
instead of life as in having to survive and just getting through everything and be reminded of everything all the time and not fitting in because I'm quite different than the typical Dane that you find culture wise. For example, I don't drink, and that is something that you very much do in Denmark. We are some of the worst drinkers in the world. So, like, even between youth, I didn't fit in. So there was a lot of things there that Canada allowed me to process through in a different way. And also, when I got back, I had a whole other perspective when I went into therapy, and things could be more resolved than it ever could before. And then it just comes and goes in like waves now. Sometimes are horrible,
Yeah.
sometimes are good. Sometimes you have to reprocess all the trauma one more time, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this one more fucking time, I'm done with this shit. But it turns out you're not, because it's still like stuck with you. Yeah,
It sounds like it's such a journey of just processing all of it, right? It's not just
yeah,
grief that comes with it, and I think in the opposite side of grief, I kind of think about when you have so much grief and how long it takes for you
yeah,
to process it, the opposite side of the coin is love, at least in my opinion, right? It
yeah,
kind of represents like, how much love you have for that person and
yeah,
for the memories that you've had and experiences that you've had with them. It really, really, really takes a long time for someone to process and kind of go through with it, right? And I think
yeah,
everybody potentially goes through it in a very different way. But
yeah. I
what has like really helped you to go through it, you think? Is it mostly therapy or moving away?
I can't say if there's one thing. Like, if I didn't have therapy, I still think I would have gone to Canada,
Right,
but I don't think I would have been able to let myself experience what I experienced.
right,
Um, but at that point, it was not like therapy had done a great deal for me because I was just not there yet.
right.
Um,
Like you weren't
so,
ready for
so
therapy, is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's not that I wasn't ready for therapy. It was just my mental state was so blocked by everything.
Mm,
And because I had so much trauma from when I was a baby until this point, I didn't have any reference points to like think to this is how something should feel better. It was just like shit with shit on.
Mhm.
And sometimes we were a little bit less shit, you know? And that was what I was going for at that point,
Yeah.
where Canada allowed me to experience something that wasn't shit, you know? Um, so I can't say there's anything like that, but I think it also very much depend on the situation. For example, like today, like my grandma is now 90 years old, and we had a couple of health scares in the last past like couple last years,
Mm.
and even just like not yesterday but the day before, because her phone didn't work. We thought like, oh no, she died because we couldn't get in contact with her, right? But I think it's very different. Like she's probably the person I am closest to today,
Yeah.
and I cannot imagine a world without her. Um, but I can better accept that that time is coming, and I can have these talks with her about this time is coming, and she brings it up herself. We talk very openly about death in at least some part of my family, um, which I guess you also get out of experiencing it a lot. I know Espen's family, my boyfriend's family, they can't like make fun with it, and you can like talk about it in the same way. It will be one of the most horrific and horrible days, the day she's not here anymore.
Mhm.
But I can also already like accept it more. And I already also experienced that grief of her not being her.
Like a pre-grief as
As
well?
yeah, as you talked about, and it's kind of like the same now. You know, I have two dogs, and like just imagining that I only have so little time with them because they're my pets, and they only live to like 12 or 13 or 15 if I'm very lucky. I can start crying over that grief of the potential of not having them anymore. Um, but I think that's very different than, for example, if my sister, like my oldest sister, which I'm very, very close to also, um, went out and died either due to illness or like a traffic accident or whatever. That
Did you
would
just say
be,
went out and died?
yeah, that's what you do. You go out and then you fucking die. That's the world, you know?
Oh my god, I'm okay. I
Um,
just wanna make
yeah.
sure I got that word got that correct. Just went out and died. I was like, "Okay."
You know, it happens. And
It was a
if that happens
choice.
now,
Yeah,
um, like that would probably like destroy a bigger part of my soul than what my grandma would take with her, right?
yeah.
Because that's not something that I would ever be ready to like.
I don't think
So
anyone
so I,
is ever ready to experience this, but it's something that it's
no.
inevitable. I don't think
So
anyone
so I,
is ever ready to experience this, but it's something that it's
no.
inevitable
Yeah,
to happen,
death will
right?
come, and you will either experience it or then you'll be the first to go, and then you're experiencing death itself, I guess. And that's something different. I don't know what that is like. I think it
Yeah.
will take some time before I experience that. But like, I hope for everyone that they will get to a stage where they will experience death, whether it's of a pet or of a person they hold dear. Not because it's fun, but it's a very important thing to experience in my mind because it puts so much things into perspective. But also, like, if you go through your whole life without experiencing anyone dying, that means that you're probably going out way too early for your own time. So,
Yeah,
don't
true
want that
enough.
either.
True enough.
Like, unless you're an asshole, then please go, like, go out dying.
Amen.
you know, there's many people in this world where you're like, hmm, would it be so bad if it was them? And then you're like, no.
Would it
And
be
that's
so
like,
bad? Yeah.
but that's also like a thing that you experience with death. It's like, this should not have been like when someone is dying way too young,
Mhm.
you get to this point where like, could this not just have been this person instead? especially depending on how strong relation, right? Like I would hope, and even my dad has said this, so it's not like that bad of me to say, but I would have hoped it was my dad that died instead of my mom.
Oof.
Um, because, well, I lived with my mom, right? And I have a very, like, a much closer
More, yeah.
relationship with her. Um, on the flip side, I'm also at the stage today where, because of all of the trauma that she has caused in my life, I'm also kind of grateful that she's not here anymore. And that's a horrible thing to say, but it's such a relief to be able to live life after my own mind and be able to get healthier mentally. And that would not have been very likely if she was still alive, because for her, I was her everything.
Yeah.
She would never, like, if I moved to Canada, she would have moved with me. Like, and I'm not saying that as a joke, she would have been there. So being able to get away from that and getting away from her being so extremely chaotic and unreliable has been incredible healthy for me too, in some of the years where it's very important that you're experiencing at least some of that security, where you still have a little bit of time to change a bit of that, because the older you get, the more stuck you can get into to that type of things, right? That
Mhm.
unhealthy mindset.
Yeah.
um yeah.
I feel like whenever I think about your life, I was like, "Oh, it's so sad." Um, and
Yeah,
do you agree it's mostly that instead of my life has been very happy, or
I don't know if I would say sad necessarily. That's what I, if I was observing from the outside,
yeah,
like if I was you, I would be like, yeah, that's fucking sad.
right, of course.
No one should go through that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, going through it, I won't say it was necessarily sad, but it wasn't good in any way. Like I will
Of
also say it
course.
was bad. Everything comes with their cost, and there is also good parts of my youth, but I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I went through.
Mhm.
Uh,
100%.
and what I experience from people is being like, I'm really sad that you have experienced this, right? And I feel like where I am right now, I can feel more sorrow for myself than I've ever been able to do before, like that little child that I was or should have been,
Mhm.
um, which is something that is more recent to me to be able to do. So it's still something that I'm navigating in. But for others, that's definitely what I'm getting met with most often. And then it's whether or not they are able to move past that. I have a very weird and tragic backstory and see me where I am right now. Or if they get stuck in that, because I also met people, they just get stuck in that. Like, even like at the psychiatric hospital that I went to like get diagnosed, the nurse that I was talking with most often, that I asked to like not talk with anymore, she always was like, "Oh, I feel so sorry. Like, I feel so sad for you." She always experienced a lot of sorrow for me. And like, I can't use that for anything,
Mhm.
right? Like, it's not going to change anything for me. And especially in this situation where I'm coming to like ask for, getting help. I'm like, I can't use you just being sad for me to anything. It's
Do
not
you
making me feel better.
Yeah. So does that make you long for the opposite, like such as happiness and like joy in your life? Like, do you consistently try to seek that out?
I think what I'm more seeking out is slowness, intentionality, and like a calm living. And with that, I think happiness will follow.
Right.
But here's like, you can't go chasing happiness. That's not how life works. And I've been through enough that I can most definitely say that's not how life works. It will screw you over because you're
Mhm.
not meant to feel that way all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
even like your body will literally refuse to let you feel that way all the time.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that I'm not seeking out experiences that I know will bring me joy or happiness, because of course I am that. That's what makes life worth living.
That's what makes life
But
life.
yeah, it's the good with the bad. It's kind of like when I get the pet, like get a pet, right? It's like the joy of my life, literally her name, like my little puppy, right? But I also know that with that decision and all of this happiness that she's giving me, I will experience a tremendous amount of grief,
Mhm.
like both before and after she's not here anymore, especially after, right? Because I'm losing something.
Yeah.
The loss will hit me, but what I hope to be able to is enjoying what I had with her and keep reminding myself of that. And I think that's the most important thing we can do when losing someone is just like, and it sounds so cliche because a lot of people say it, but there is meaning behind like keep finding that joy in all of the experiences that you had with them because that is with you still, and it can even be like the most sad episodes in your life. Just them being with you in that time can bring you immense joy after they're not here anymore.
Yeah, the journey of
um,
life is without positives and negatives, or else it's
yeah,
gonna be kind of boring, I think.
yeah,
And for us to experience all types of emotions, I think, like, certain chapters of our life can definitely have ups and downs, lefts and
yeah.
rights. Kinda like a little roller coaster, if anything. I guess it just kinda makes it more of a journey to experience what life is, because I think for those that do experience more one-sided emotion, say like sadness or
Yeah,
something like that, it depends on your mindset, potentially, maybe at least for me. It's more it takes more effort to bring out other emotions and try to seek
yeah.
out the experiences that might bring out those emotions a little bit better.
It's I think if you ever experience being depressed, like where you get diagnosed with even just a mild type of depression, I think that's a very good way of illustrating it because what depression does is not it removes emotions, it's just like numbs everything down.
Right.
Um, and of course, there's sadness with that and there's grief with it, but that's also numbed down. And that's what you can experience a lot if you go through life with mostly negatives like I did, then that's what like you don't even recognize true happiness or like feeling it for a prolonged time or like feel it intensely, um, because your body will not allow you to do that. It doesn't know how to do it. Um, so learning to allowing both to be there and seek both out, even the sadness, is a good way of like learning to deal with whatever comes your way.
That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
Um, so I have some rapid questions for you to change the vibe a little bit. What is your favorite dessert of all time?
Favorite dessert of all time? Probably a carrot cake, but with like a lot of cream cheese frosting.
That's actually
Like
really,
it,
really good.
the carrot cake is there just to like have a little bit of like something else, and
Yeah,
then it's just like has to be like a thick layer
a
of cream
thick
cheese
layer
frosting.
of cream cheese.
Thick,
Amazing,
yeah,
amazing. I would also say cake as well. Um,
yeah.
I
No,
would
be more specific. Give me a cake.
a cake? I'm good with any type of sponge cake, like, especially Asian bakery. It's
Yeah,
not too sweet. I like desserts that's not too sweet. Like
yeah.
like a like, if you're gonna give me a chocolate something cake that is, like, fudgy, rich,
It better be,
creamy,
yeah,
sweet,
richness, right?
that's
Yeah,
not something that I would go for, though. I would just go for something, like, subtle sweet,
yeah.
colorful, and stuff like that. So, like, a strawberry cake or something boring like that. Or tiramisu is always a good one for me. Um,
Yeah. It's for a lot of people. I don't really get the hype, but I'm glad that some people do.
say you were to peace out from this world and your life
Oh,
flashes.
go out and die.
Yeah, go out and die, basically.
Yeah.
And your life flashes before your eyes, like, right now. What
Yeah.
sort of things would flash before you, you think?
I hope positive things. It'll probably be a mix of like the situation that we just talked about.
Yeah.
But I hope at least what I would pay the most attention to
Mhm.
is the joy of having the cat I had such a special bond with, and experience my first ride with my horse when I had him,
Mhm.
or like laying and cuddling with Irvin or Joy. Um, it's the moments of
They're all animals.
they're all animals. I'm very much an animal person, but like it's a moment of joy and happiness and of content, like what I kind of talked about, like what I'm seeking out,
Mhm.
of where time kind of just like exists outside of the moment.
Mhm.
And that happens in the bad times too. But I hope that I would pick up on those times, and just like let myself enjoy those moments one more time before saying completely goodbye.
Yeah. Um, w what would you do if you won the lottery of 50 million euros?
50 million euros. Move out into a forest, like in Norway, probably, because I'm not getting Espen with me to Canada. What else that would have been the choice? Or maybe a little warmer country at this point of life. I don't know.
Do you need fifty
Um,
million to do that?
no, that's what I would do.
Okay.
And like, because I don't necessarily seek out richness.
Yeah, yeah.
I seek out enoughness.
Mhm.
Um, and
Enoughness.
like, yeah, I just want things to be enough to be content and live a slow and relaxing life. Um, what I can tell you, I definitely won't ever do
What?
ever again is put my feet into a regular like office workspace. Like fuck that shit. That's the most horrible thing I've ever done to myself. Not doing
Period.
that. Uh,
Period.
like
Um,
literally today, like just a short like side note. We were driving past a place where I had a job interview
mhm.
that I didn't get. And I was like, thank God I would not have survived in that box.
Yeah.
And like, I will die. I will die from that.
Sometimes it just kind of puts it into perspective as, like, what is actually more important, right? Sometimes when
Yeah.
you, go through certain things. I have 2 more. If
Yeah.
you can jump time to either the past or to the
Yeah.
future, which one and why?
I would jump to the past. There is too many places where I would like to jump to like even be able to explain it.
Mhm.
But I think one of the most important things would be to have a final conversation with, for example, my grandma on my mom's side.
Mm,
There's so many things I wanted to be able to tell her and let her know about myself. She was a person I was so filled with love that it hurt being close to.
right.
Um, so that I would definitely go. Or else it would be like go to my horse again, or go take pictures of my cat because I don't have any pictures of her. Um, but it would be those things that I would seek out.
Was there cameras back then?
Yes, I'm not that old. You're older than me. Um, yeah, for some reason we didn't ever fucking have a picture of me and my cat
Hmm.
that I had for like many years.
What did it look like?
It was black.
A
It was a
black
black
cat.
cat,
Mm.
black thin, shiny cat, very sweet. Sat on my shoulder as a parrot.
Well, that's
Still
cute.
kind of feel like she sometimes are there. Um, and she was literally called Black just in Danish. Yeah. She was something very, very special to me in the same way that my horse was something very, very special to me. Like, if I hadn't had my horse when my mom died, I would not have been here today. Without
Oh,
him, wouldn't like have survived at all.
everything was in place
So,
for you, to make sure you get to this
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
For me, it would be the opposite. Like, I would probably go to the future just to
Go to the future. No, you have to travel to the past because you have to give yourself the lottery number so you win that lottery. And then,
I mean, that's one way to do it, but at the same time,
yeah.
I think the future is kind of exciting to kind of look
See,
forward.
now you can be the annoying one and be like, I will go to the past so I can get the opportunity again when I go to the present moment where I got the opportunity to travel to the past or the future and then go to the future.
That's cheating.
So, no, it's just like using the system. No, tell me, why would you jump to the future?
I just want to kind of see what is in store for the world in the future because there's
Oh, fuck no.
no, I think
I
it's
don't
quite
wanna know.
exciting for me.
I wanna live on that mountain and be like, "Fuck shit of it all. I will not
That's
see
fair.
it. I'll just live here,
That's fair.
providing
Give
for
you
myself."
get yourself a couple of cows and sheeps and all the
Yeah,
animals, and then you have your
everything you need
farm,
to
and then
just
you're good to
survive.
go. Maybe you need to move to a
Yeah.
farm. That's what you need to do.
Well, my house in the woods has to have a decent amount of, like, land with it so I can have animals there, so, you know? Just the house itself doesn't need that be too that big.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Last one. What is your favorite thing to bake?
To bake? Don't even know if I have a favorite thing to bake. I enjoy when I give myself challenges for like New Year's or my birthday, where I go crazy
Mhm.
and bake like cakes that takes 3 days to make,
That is
like the cakes
crazy.
you see on TV. Um, I enjoy those times. Else, it's just like baking a good like loaf of bread or cookies is just
Cookies.
amazing.
That's fair. I know
But
you've
like a
always
loaf of bread. No, like a loaf of bread just fresh out of the oven with a little bit of butter on, just when you can cut it. That's amazing. Nothing can beat that.
I bet. I know you're a really good baker, and I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
a decent cook, but I can't
Yeah.
I can't bake.
See, I can't cook, so
We've got a good kitchen match. I feel like you make the
yeah,
desserts, I will make the main meals.
yeah. But you would hate living with me because I don't eat fish.
You don't eat a lot of things.
I eat a lot of things, just don't not things that I think are disgusting or taste of fish or I'm allergic to.
Typical white boy.
Oh, that looks nasty because like if it looks nasty, it probably tastes
If
nasty.
it's not brown or potatoes, you're not gonna eat it.
Oh my god. I actually asked for salad today. You gotta
What?
stop with the brown food thing.
Really? You asked for
Yeah,
a
I get
salad?
salad quite often, and I eat, like, a lot of
Wow.
fruit.
Shock. Shock. I'm in shock.
And so I
For
have actually been
context.
thinking about you know what? I won't say this on a podcast because I will be, like, probably blamed for something I don't wanna be blamed for, so I'll wait till after, but then I will continue my rant about you saying brown food.
Well, for context, I was over at your place for Christmas, so I was basically
Well,
fed.
Christmas is just, like, potatoes and meat and sauce.
Yeah, that was basically it. I was like,
That
"Interesting."
that's what the time is for also.
Mhm.
Like, winters here were once very rough, you wanted to be a little bit chubby.
True.
And also, like, potatoes were the only thing that survived and cured meat, so, you know?
Mm, fair enough. Okay, well, I think we did it. This has been a rough topic. Thank you for sharing your life
You're
experiences,
welcome. Welcome.
and very much appreciate it for opening up.
Yeah.
Um, for those listeners, thank you for joining me on Slice of Anecdote. Remember to subscribe, give us a rating, and spread the word. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye.